Hello everyone, another day, another Narc Survivor live video. I'm out here at the park today. I've done a few videos here before, as you may remember. In this one, I am going to be talking about something I don't speak about too much. But I've noticed that there are a lot of YouTubers who are speaking about this. They're talking about when the narcissist feels regret, when they have a change of heart, when they feel like they made the wrong decision, they shouldn't have done that, they should have treated you differently, or they should have given you another chance. But I can tell you, no, they cannot do that. That is one thing they cannot do. Narcissists have a mental illness, a personality disorder, and that is something that is not going to change. They will always be that way. And I think we all know what I'm talking about when I say that. They are these high conflict people. It's like no matter what you do to try to please them or make them happy, nothing you do is ever good enough. And they always point the finger at you as though you're the problem, something is wrong with you. And really, you're just digging yourself a hole. You're burying yourself in a pit that you cannot get out of. And as I had to do, you do have to take some responsibility and look at yourself to question what got you into this mess. Because a healthy person, as soon as they see that they are out of there, as soon as they see that someone has all of these problems and they can't act normally, they can't act right, and they're constantly blaming you, and they don't want you to be better, these should all be red flags. That's not what you should be looking for. You need to practice self-love, self-care, and then when you come across someone who is emotionally healthy, someone who can give and receive your love, that will be very attractive to you. That will pull you in when you heal yourself. Because until that point, you will still find these narcissistic losers attractive. And you can be attracted to them all you want, but that is not going to change anything. They will remain that way until the day they die, because they have a disorder, a mental illness. And you really have to look at yourself and question, why am I attracted to, drawn to a mentally ill person who should be locked up in a padded room so that they don't hurt themselves or other people? Because that's really where they belong. They need to be chained to a fence like a dog, because they're very impulsive, very reckless. They can be very aggressive as well. They're very dangerous. And there is nothing attractive about that. That is very dirty, very ugly. You should not want that in your life. And of course, I understand that sometimes we get pulled into it, we get manipulated. Yes, this can happen to people like us, people who practice self-love and self-care. We value ourselves. We desire real love. Yes, we can get drawn into it as well sometimes. But someone who really loves and values themselves and respects themselves, they are not going to choose to stick around once they see what they're dealing with. As soon as they recognize that someone is not right in the head, someone has a mental illness, a personality disorder, they're just going to want to get out of there as soon as they can. They are not going to stick around for more because they value themselves. They respect themselves. So they're not going to put themselves or keep themselves in a situation where their self-love and self-respect is going to be compromised. They're just not going to do that. But of course, I understand people get tricked. And it may just be that, yes, you may be deficient in self-love. That may be a possible cause, and yes, I can relate to that as well. I mean, I was always the type of child when I was growing up. I loved myself very much. I was very happy with how I dressed, with the type of person, the type of character that I had. I loved the way that I looked. I just loved everything about myself. But then I came around narcissists, and then I started to look at myself in a different way. And I would even say that I stopped taking care of myself. And it was always like, it was almost like a manifestation. I think something just flew in my ear then. It didn't. But yeah, it was almost like a manifestation. And I just looked in the mirror and I just didn't find myself attractive anymore. So you do need to be aware of that. You do need to be very careful when you are around these types of people. Because when you're around a normal, healthy person who does value and love themselves, you will feel very beautiful or very handsome around that type of person. And it will only lead you to a healthier place when you desire to practice even more self-love and self-care. So, those of you, if you're watching this, you don't feel beautiful, you feel unattractive, it's not always you. Take a look at the company that you're surrounding yourself with. A lot of times that could be the problem. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with practicing self-care, getting a haircut, buying some new clothes. These types of things will make you feel good about yourself. And that's really your greatest defense against narcissists and narcissism. It's your self-love. But narcissists having a change of heart, nope, they cannot do that. They will never do that. They're always going to be the same way. They're always going to be blaming you. You're always going to feel like something is wrong with you. You're missing something. You need to be better or greater. You're always going to feel that way around them. And you may blame yourself as well, until you realize and accept that yes, they do in fact have a mental disorder. They are mentally ill. And that is why when you see them, they're always so unstable. There's so many contradictions, so many things that don't even make any sense. But when you're around a caring, loving person who loves themselves, everything makes perfect sense. And they will actually feel very uncomfortable if things do not make sense to you. They will want you to know, they will want you to understand, and they won't leave anything out for you to second guess yourself. But narcissists, they enjoy the dysfunction, the chaos, and the drama. They thrive in that. So when you're around them, you're not dealing with a self-composed person who knows where they are and knows where they're going. You're dealing with an emotional wreck, someone who lacks composure, someone who is all over the place. They don't know what they're doing, where they're going. They don't even know what they're thinking half the time, because they lack self-awareness. And of course, when you are around them, you are going to feel the exact same way. Crazy makes you crazy. So when you are around these types of people, you are going to feel like you're losing your mind. And of course, I don't want that for you. Which is why I had to get on here and make this video. To make you aware that no, they're not going to have a change of heart. I mean, if we're talking about people who may be a little bit narcissistic, 2 or 3 traits, maybe they just have a bit of ego, a bit of pride. They might be a bit self-absorbed sometimes. If you talk to them about it, they can quickly identify the errors of their ways and make that change. Those types of people, yes, they will have a change of heart. They will recognize that maybe they did something wrong. They will feel regret. And they will feel bad for what they did to you. That is a very different thing. And those types of people typically carry themselves very differently to narcissists. They're not so reactive or aggressive. They might just have 2 or 3 traits. They could be a bit self-absorbed sometimes. Maybe they don't see things right away. They may be hard-working people. Maybe they have a little sense of entitlement. These things, they may seem like an inconvenience at times, but they're not that bad. Those types of people are not full-blown narcissists. They're not deliberately seeking to harm you. They do not find pleasure in your pain or at your expense. Very different to someone who does have a mental illness or personality disorder. Someone like that, no, they are never going to change. They are never going to be what you want them to be, and they're never going to care about you. They're just going to go on and only want what they want. And that's just how it's going to be until the day that they die. That's all they're going to do, is manipulate and deceive you and make you believe that there's someone that they're not. But that's all you'll ever get from them is words. And those words will never lead to actions. And when you figure them out, when you catch on, They know the jig is up, and all they're going to do is discard you and then manipulate someone else. Or it's likely that they already have someone else lined up, because yes, as we know, they can't be alone. They always need to have supply. But yes, of course, I understand those of you, you're dealing with real NPDs, people with a mental illness, and it's very obvious when you're dealing with someone like that, because they are very aggressive. They're like loose cannons, emotional wrecks. They're very dysfunctional, very low class people. When you're dealing with someone like that, there is not going to be a change of heart. And in fact, there's not going to be a change of anything. The only thing that's going to change in that situation is you, your physical, mental, and emotional health. And by the end of it, you won't even recognize yourself. You won't even understand how you've become what you've become. You'll feel like you won't even know yourself anymore. Because that is exactly what real narcissistic abuse does to you. It turns you inside out. Everything that you were before, you lose that. But that does not typically happen around those who have 1 or 2 or 3 narcissistic traits, not the full-blown disorder. Those types of people, they can check themselves. Yes, they may be a bit preoccupied with superficial things, like their appearance, their style, their job, their car, whatever it is. But if you talk to them, they will understand, and they will make the necessary changes. Very different to someone who has a full-blown disorder. That is a completely different thing. So yes, it is very important to be aware of that. And if you've watched enough of my videos so far, you will already know the difference about what I am talking about. Because there is a very clear difference between someone who only has a few narcissistic traits, as many people do, and then someone who has the full-blown disorder or mental illness that cannot be fixed or changed. That type of person is always going to be the same. They're going to keep doing what they do. And yes, it is going to be very hurtful. It is going to aggravate you. But just be grateful that it's you, it's them and not you. Because they're going to be like that until the day that they die. They're never going to find happiness, satisfaction, or fulfillment in anything. They are always going to be that way. And when you're around them, you just have to be very careful that you don't get pulled into it. Because as I said, it will change you. It can change everything about you. Your character, your personality, your values and virtues, even your daily activities. So it's a very different thing. And they're never going to have a change of heart. The only thing that's going to change is you. And if they can't change you, then they'll change everyone around you to reflect back how they think and feel in their minds, to reflect their narrative about you. And in fact, A narcissist, a full-blown NPD, a person with full-blown mental illness, they would quite happily change the entire world before they even dare to look at themselves. And that is how you know exactly what you're dealing with. Because these are the types of people who devalue you, they discard you, and they start smear campaigns and enforce fly monkeys. People who have just a few mild narcissistic traits, they're not going to take it that far. They're not going to have any real desire to hurt or control you. That's something that narcissists do. So yes, I hope I have made the difference very clear in this video, because I know sometimes people can get it confused. And of course, it is important to understand that this disorder does not change. I genuinely believe that these self-aware narcissists, they did not have the full-blown disorder, because one of the main features of that is a lack of self-awareness, which means that they're never going to look at themselves and realize that they did anything wrong. And as I've said before, these are the types of people who are in prisons. They're those types of people who, if they do something wrong, you try to hold them accountable, they're all in denial. They'll all say that they didn't do it, or what you think happened, it happened differently. They will gaslight you. This is the way that full-blown NPDs are. And it's almost like they create a separate world, a fake reality to protect and defend themselves. So that is the difference. And I do believe that they will stay in denial until the day that they die. That is not going to change. So yes, a big difference with someone who just has a few traits. That type of person may not manipulate, deceive, or abuse you, or lie to you and future fake. Narcissists will. And by the time they're finished with you, you will wish that you never even met them. You will wish that you had met someone else instead. They're not going to regret anything that they did, but you will regret ever being involved with them. And it's really sad, but that's how it tends to be for them. They just have a string of victims who feel disappointed and dissatisfied. They feel miserable, traumatized, because the narcissist did a disservice to them, to where they just wish they had never even met them. And I can't imagine that. That would really hurt me to know that there was anyone who wished they never met me. I wouldn't like that at all. But for narcissists, that is just the way that it is. And it will continue to be that way, because they'll always be in denial. They'll never make the changes. But for you and I, it's okay, because we can move on. And we can be other people who are not narcissists and have a healthy relationship. So that's all there is to it. Anyway, I am going to continue my walk in this park. I hope that you found this video helpful. If you did, you can give it a thumbs up down below.